Hi, everyone. If you tune into these with any regularity, you'll know that usually it is my wife, Amanda, and me, but today you're just getting me. Amanda's actually like super busy, so I am going to talk to you about refreshing blog posts, why you would want to do this, kind of what it means, walking through this. So if you have a blog post that you've published some time ago, I guess the first question is like, why might you want to go back and do stuff to that blog post instead of writing a new one? And I can understand why a lot of people would wonder that, because if you think of a blog in like the weblog sense, it originates as kind of this like running journal. And so why would you go and amend entries to your journal from 2 years ago? So to understand why we would refresh blog posts, the first thing you need to do is start thinking of it as a content marketing thing, rather than like a journal of what you're doing. And from a content marketing perspective, we talk about this a lot, but we're looking to bring people in via what's called organic search, meaning they're coming in from search engines. And when you're coming in from a search engine to a blog post, those are going to be old blog posts. But if you have posts on your blog that are bringing search engine traffic, you might have written those years ago. I mean, deadtech.com, one of my sites, I have posts that I think literally I wrote 10 years ago that still bring in traffic. So because you have these old posts that are still every day getting new traffic, you might have a reason to do things to them. So the main reason is if you are getting this organic traffic and you're not getting as much of it as you could, we go in and we do these refreshes to help posts rank better, and not just to like rank better and get boosted in Google, but also to when people do come in, to make it a better experience. The main reason that you might want to do this, typically, I guess the most common case is like something goes out of date. So let's say that you write a blog post on your website, you determine that like best TV shows is a good term to rank for. You think you can rank for that term. You write a post and it's about the best TV shows of 2019. It goes to the top of Google. You've got tens of thousands of people coming in. Life is good. But you can imagine that's not going to age real well if you're writing about the best shows of 2019. Come the year 2022, that's going to be out of date. You, at this point, will see a drop-off in traffic because other people will probably come and write newer posts. But even if they didn't, and for some reason nobody took advantage of that, it still wouldn't be relevant. Some of the best shows of 2019 would go off the air by 2022. There would be new shows. So people just wouldn't find that interesting. So one thing you might go back and do is update it for 2022, add some new shows in, remove some that weren't any more relevant, and just kind of tune this blog post. And when you do that, not only will you tend to see a boost in rankings, but the traffic that comes by will be happier about the post. There are some other reasons that you might do it that aren't just a product of like out-of-date references. The internet doesn't stand still, so you might write a great blog post and one that's still relevant 3 years later, but other people might have caught on to the fact that you can rank in Google for this and written even better, longer, more detailed posts, and now yours kind of drops in the rankings. So you might just go and refresh a post because other people have done more impressive things in the interim. So you want to go and kind of dress it back up. Other times you might have learned some stuff. So maybe you wrote a blog post 4 years ago before you knew much about what searchers like, and it was sort of 300 words, lots of run-on sentences and nonsense. Maybe you go back in and you kind of clean and polish it up, make it more attractive. So that's kind of what we're talking about with a refresh. So then I'll talk a little bit about, like, I've talked about this obliquely, but why is this beneficial? I've talked about how it can help you rank, do better in the search engine, and that's not just idle. Like, we've measured this. We've gone and done refreshes for clients, and we found, I believe it was that something like a month later, post that you refresh has on average like 170% the traffic value that it did before. Traffic value is measured by like what you would have to pay in advertising to get the amount of traffic that the post was bringing through just regular search. And then I think they peak at something like 300% of that traffic value. So there are actual monetary, actual traffic, and actual ranking benefits to doing this quantitatively. We're not the only ones that have run this experiment. It's been measured elsewhere. The search engines like it when you keep content up to date. So basically it just, when you write a piece of content and then periodically update it, if it meets certain criteria, that's been shown to kind of increase everything that leads on a commercial blog to return on investment. More eyeballs, more conversions, all that good stuff. So the next part of this is how do we know which posts we need to refresh? There are a number of ways to approach this. Like, this gets pretty nuanced, but the first one I might say is you could just kind of eyeball the post, and if it's a post, you know, like the best movies of some past year, and you want it to still be relevant, so out-of-date references are the biggest telltale sign that you could refresh a post. Let me make a brief aside on that point, though, to say, like, you might be wondering, so instead of writing or refreshing the post about the best movies of 2017, why not just write that post again every year? It's a good question. The reason that you don't do something like that is because when you're trying to rank for a term, so you want to rank for like best movies or best TV shows. If you write a post, best TV shows of 2017, you're probably not going to rank only for like one thing. You're going to rank for best TV shows 2017, TV shows 2017. There will be this whole kind of ecosystem of terms that you rank for. If you were to go and then write the best TV shows of 2018, you're going to compete with that original post for like 90% of those terms. You might not compete for best of 2018, but best of, in general, like best TV shows, yes. TV shows, yes. So all these other terms, you're going to have these posts competing with each other for search engine spots. And the search engines are smart, so they'll look at you and say, oh, you've already covered this, so no, we're not going to rank two of your posts. We're just going to forget about this new one, keep ranking the old one. So the reason that you would want to keep updating this post instead of writing new ones is you don't want to compete, but like the search engines already trust that old post. They've indexed it, which means that they're aware of it, and then they've decided people like it, so they've boosted it. You have established trust with that post. So it's a much easier path to ongoing traffic to keep updating that and making the search engine happy than it is to kind of keep trying to write duplicate posts and confusing the search engine. So that's in a nutshell why not just keep writing new posts. So when we're looking at which posts to refresh, if you have out-of-date references, then yes, you kind of owe it to your searchers to update things, but there are other factors that we look at too. The biggest one is, where is this post ranking for keywords that matter, like keywords that are doing a significant amount of traffic? And if you're ranking for the keyword that we want to be targeting somewhere between 4 and we usually say 15, so you're a little bit off the first page, or you're on up to 4, that's a good post to target, because we figure that when we refresh that post, we give it a nice boost, and you might get into those top 3 spots, and that's kind of where the real money is, so to speak. If you look at the breakdown of click-through rates on a search engine results page, you know, type something into Google, and then just imagine your own behavior. You click on maybe the first result, maybe the second, sometimes the third. It's probably pretty rare that you scroll way down, and it's virtually never that you go on to the second page. So those first 3 spots are really coveted. They're what's called above the fold, meaning that's what first pops into your head through your eyeballs when you click. So you want to be there. And posts that are doing all right but not quite there, those are the best candidates. If a post is not ranking at all, if it's like 20 or 30 or just not ranking anywhere on any page, then we don't tend to refresh those because we think of that as kind of a lost cause. The search engine, for whatever reason, thinks that that post is kind of garbage. And so taking garbage and reconfiguring it a little isn't real likely to have a great effect. So we think of those as maybe not worth doing. On the flip side, if your post is ranking number 1, you probably don't want to touch it until somebody dethrones you. So we tend to also leave alone posts that are 1, 2, maybe 3, just because don't mess with success. So that's the main way that we at Hit Subscribe pick posts for our clients to refresh. Are they at least, I should mention this, you don't want to refresh brand new posts before they've had a chance to rank either. So we ask ourselves this: is the post at least 6 months old? Is it somewhere between 4 and 15 in terms of ranking for the keyword or keywords we want to target? If those things are true, we will mark them as candidates to go refresh and figure that that can have a positive effect for our clients. So the last bullet to cover here is, how do we determine if a refresh is successful? This can vary a bit, but like the most common metric we're going to look at is where did it rank when we started and where does it rank now? So if we're targeting that best TV show keywords and we were 4th, we're going to consider this a success if that post starts ranking 3 or 2. That's a home run, getting it into the top 3. So that's kind of the first and foremost. But life is a little more complicated than that, and this is why we look at this stat I was mentioning earlier called traffic value, because when you refresh a post, what we found is it's pretty common for you to see a boost either initially or over the long haul in ranking, maybe by a spot or 2. Excuse me. Or if you're further down, like 10, it's not uncommon to see a 3-4 spot boost, if not more. That's all well and good. Oh, apologies. I don't know if it's allergy season or what. So ranking for that keyword that we're most interested in is a great metric, and ranking well for that is a home run. But what we find is actually super common when we go do a refresh is if the post was ranking for 100 keywords before, it actually will often rank for a lot more keywords. So I don't have data on this just yet. We're kind of doing a research project into our data over the last year, but what we commonly see is a pretty significant boost over the long haul in the number of keywords that the post ranks for. So it's kind of like ranking breadth. And when that happens, the best way we can measure it is with that traffic value. So that's another kind of secondary thing we're looking for is, are we ranking for that target keyword better? But, more importantly, or well, as importantly, are we on the whole ranking kind of in the universe for more things? Now, for some clients, we will go and do a refresh where, for whatever reason, they might not care quite as much about increasing the raw traffic to the page or even rank, but maybe it's that they've got a post that's bringing in a steady stream of traffic, but now they want to do something with that traffic. And the most common thing there is maybe they want to insert what's called a call to action. So we're getting all this traffic, people seem to like this post. Why don't we put this little widget in there that says, hey, check out our trial downloads page, or, go download this thing or sign up for our mailing list. So to them, success, when we do this refresh and we put that in, success is, do people start signing up for their mailing list? So you can define success in a number of different ways. In the most blanket way, the most common thing we're measuring is increased rankings, increased traffic, but there are kind of one-offs where we're doing something a little more granular or involved, and then we're measuring something slightly different. But I guess I'd summarize it all by saying what we're really trying to do and the way that we're measuring success is we're trying to keep this content fresh and to make sure that it stays relevant and continues to work for you as an asset. So you'll hear talk like in the broader world about passive income, and then you'll hear other people talk about like, well, is any income truly passive? You go write a book, and then you put that book out there and you earn royalties for the foreseeable future. Well, you put a lot of effort into writing the book, and then there's also going to be this tail off in royalties over the long haul where if you wrote a book 10, 20 years ago, people find that less and less relevant. It's the same thing with your blog content. Like you write this content once, and then you hope it, continues to bring in organic traffic. And that's true and that will happen. But if you just do a little bit to kind of maintain it and keep it up to date, that tail off will be far less pronounced and it might not even happen at all. In fact, it might grow. So you've invested in this content. You've tried to get eyeballs on it. And you have people coming in, some people and landing on it. So what we're doing with these refreshes is just ensuring that we're kind of continuing to keep that investment maximized for you. So I guess that is all I'm going to say. Yeah, this is a good amount of time here I've spent on this. All I'm going to say about post refreshes. We will catch you next week. Hopefully Amanda will be back with me and a little bit less busy. Thanks for watching, and yeah, I will catch you later.